Dear kids, welcome back to social science class. Today we will learn a new chapter, that is life in towns and villages. The formation of states and republics called Mahajanapadas, right? Mahajanapadas in the 6th century BCE have often been linked to urbanization, right? A number of urban centers arose in North and South India. The growth of urban centers and towns during this period is referred to as a second urbanization. So, in this chapter, we will discuss about the growth of agriculture and trade related to the second urbanization, then about the types and the categories of towns and cities, and about the life of the people in towns and villages. Let us have a look into the mind map. Life in towns and villages, features of second urbanization, then we will move to types of urban centers with many functions, then we will learn about the sources about the cities and also about the people, life of the people in towns and villages. So, let us see the features of second urbanization. Increased agrarian production around the 6th century BCE, people started using iron tools, right? And we get evidence of the growing use of iron axes. What is iron axes? It is used for cleaning forest areas and making the land suitable for agriculture, yes. And also the iron plowshare. This helped greatly in increasing the agrarian production. And the use of transplantation. What is transplantation? It is not transportation, it is transplantation, the process of transferring a plant from one place to another. Transferring, it is the process of transferring a plant from one place to another. It is known as what? The transplantation. So, the use of transplantation and irrigation also increased the production, right? Then several canals, wells and tanks were built during the period for the purpose of irrigation. Okay? And an increase in agrarian production and growth in arts and crafts created favorable conditions for the growth of trade. People from villages sold their products to the towns, and we get evidences of both internal and external trade. New routes and links were established between North India and South India. Many centers in South India had trading relations with the Roman Empire, right? And we also find evidence of guilds of traders and craftsmen. Then these guilds were called Shrines. And these guilds provided training to the new craftsmen, acted as banks, and in some cases gave grants to the temples and monasteries. Okay? So, let us see the types of urban cities, how it was. First, political or administrative towns. It is a type of town or it is a type of urban center with the importance of political or administrative. Then during the second urbanization, different kinds of towns grew out of earlier settlements or villages, and each town had a different character. Some of the towns grew in political and administrative centers such as Hastinapur, then Rajgriha and Shravasti, then Kausambi, Champa, so on and so forth. And another one type, that is market towns. There were many urban centers which grew as market towns. Each of these catered to a variety of villages usually located where there was an agricultural surplus that could be used for exchange. The exchange could be extended to goods from more distant places if the market was on trade route such as at Ujjain. Okay? And another is religious towns. Some of the towns grew tremendously because they were religious centers, as in the case of Kashi or Vaishali. Then coastal towns. Some coastal towns grew on account of the trade that they enjoyed with other countries. And some of the examples of such towns include Arikamedu, then Tamralipti. All these are the examples. And what are the functions of these urban centers? So, next point is urban centers with many functions. We have seen that each town had its unique features, but sometimes a single town was important for a variety of reasons. Let us look at one such example, that is Takshila. Takshila, it is situated 30 kilometers northwest of modern Islamabad in Pakistan. So, it was excavated many decades ago by Sir John Marshall. Okay. And Takshila was an administrative center under the Mauryas and the Indo-Greeks. The city, being strategically located on the trade routes between North India and the West, also became a major trade center, and it had flourished trade with the Roman Empire. It was also a great center of religious learning, particularly Buddhism. And we find evidences of several Buddhist monasteries here. And the city became the center of a distinct style of art known as Gandhara art under the Kushanas. Okay? And what are the sources from where we can learn all the things about these cities? Archaeological sources. Yes. Archaeological excavations are important sources of the study for the growth of early Indian towns, right? As like in the case of history too. Evidences of fortification have been found in some of the cities, and several cities have yielded rows of pots or ceramic rings arranged in a stack. Then these were known as the ring wells and have been usually found within individual houses, and they seem to have been used as toilets or drains. Yes, but such evidences are few. Mostly the houses or the palaces were made of wood or bricks made from mud, which have perished with time. Okay? And then another one source is carvings on the walls of monuments. Another kind of evidence used for reconstructing history is the carving on the walls, gateways, pillars or railings of the old monuments like stupas, temples or caves. And these carvings depicted scenes from everyday city and village life. And another one source is literature. Quite a lot of information can be gathered from the literary text. Then we find several mentions of the towns or and the rulers of this period from Ashtadhyayi, the book of grammar written by Panini, and the Buddhist text primarily the Tripitakas. Okay, primarily the Tripitakas narrates events relating to the Buddha and records his teachings, and these are often set in an urban context which encourages their use as data or urbanization. The largest of the three Pitakas, okay, Sutta Pitaka, includes Janaka stories through which one can glimpse the city and village life. Okay, and around 2300 years ago, many literature in Tamil were composed in South India. They together formed the Sangam literature, as these were composed in assemblies called Sangam, Thinais. Okay. And another one source is coins. Coins were an important source of information of this period. Then archaeologists have been able to dig out a number of coins belonging to the period of second urbanization, and these coins were the punch marked coins. So these coins were punch marked coins. These coins were made of silver and copper, and these coins bear symbols and designs, each of which was punched on the coin with a separate punch. Hence, they were known as the punch marked coins. Okay, so these are the sources of information regarding the cities. And what about the people in towns and villages? Yes, at the end of this chapter we are going to discuss now the people in towns and villages. There are several references to villages and towns in the Pali text, and many of these towns seem to be situated between clusters of villages, group of villages, and these texts speak of three types of villages, mainly three types of villages. The first category included villages inhabited by different castes and communities and was headed by the village headman called Gram Bhojka. Gram Bhojka or Gramini or Gramika, all these are the names of the village headman, and they also served as the policemen and judge at times. Okay, so this is the first type of village. The second were craft villages or suburban villages where craftsmen lived. For example, a carpenter's village like close to Varanasi. Yes, these villages served as markets for other villages and as links with the towns. And the last one, the third category, was border villages which merged with forest borders. People living here were mostly hunters and gatherers. Generally, in these villages, the Bhojgas was the biggest landowner. Other rich peasants were known as Grihapatis or Gahapati. Smaller peasants were known as Krishakas or Kasakas, the cultivators. And there also existed the landless laborers or the dasas and karmakaras, okay, who cultivated the land of the richer people. Besides this, there were also some craftsmen in the village like porters, blacksmiths, weavers and carpenters. Okay. So, let us have a recap of our chapter. Towards the beginning of the 6th century BCE, agriculture intensified due to the use of better methods such as transplantation, irrigation, the use of iron tools and so on. Then what we learned? We learned urban centers or towns were of different types like market centers, then religious centers, political and administrative centers or coastal towns. Then we have also learned about the sources, right? Archaeological remains for the study of urban centers are scarce, but literary sources and coins provide useful insights. And we also learned that there are also some cities with multi-purpose like Takshila or Mathura. Then the people in towns and villages comprised of traders, merchants, ironsmiths and carpenters. Okay. So, please learn this lesson well. Take care. Bye bye.